Hey guys, it's your girl QueenMawel in the building, and we are back again with another.
Another episode of Queen Sofa Chat. That's what she's trying to say. I had to step in. Host is not hosting right now.
My brain is
We'll let her
gone.
go back to doing it. Maybe she
Maybe
can
it's
pick
the
up.
wine. But yes, another episode of Queen's Sofa Chat.
Maybe it should be King Sofa Chat or something.
Relax. Episode 2 of Queen Sofa Chat, and we are back again, like with another question or maybe a statement. And before we start, obviously grab your wines like we do and sit down, relax, and listen to what we're going to discuss about. So today's question is, should people live together before being married?
100%. 2026, yeah.
Really? Why? Like, elaborate on it.
Well, okay. You have to think about it. The reason why people didn't have to live together in the past, in, eras gone by, was because there was a standard expectation in terms of what a marriage would look like. So there was clearly defined gender roles. So a man was expected to be the primary breadwinner, pay the bills, go out to work, come back, all that kind of stuff. The woman's role was primarily expected to be within the home, making sure that it was clean, making sure that food was always in the fridge and dinner was ready at a certain time, making sure that the children's clothes were clean, making sure the children got to where they needed to get to on time, all that kind of stuff. Now, in the modern day, that's not the case anymore. Women have, campaigned and they've been successful in gaining, equality in terms of, access to the workplace and certain fields of employment and things like that. So women are oftentimes making just as much, if not more money than men. So what comes with that is that, we don't know what a marriage is going to look like. So how can you know what somebody is going to be like to live with? How can you know what kind of situation you're entering into without at least testing the waters first by living with them?
I do agree with that. And then I also disagree with it. Reason being, with the reason why I agree with what you... No, listen why. The reason why I agree with what you're saying is because I do believe that people should have a period where they do live together to almost know if they are compatible or how, if they can like deal with the situations that arise. Because mostly when people get married, they just move straight into a home. Like, it's like moving in with a stranger that you've never lived with. You don't know how they are when they sleep, or you just don't know them well enough.
And if you're going to sign a legal contract without having done that, that's crazy. That's
exactly
mad.
So that's why I feel like yes, because in that sense of getting to know your other half better before diving into it straight after, because I almost feel like that's why most marriages end like divorce, because it's almost like, oh my god, this is a shock, I never knew you were like that, or I never knew that you leave the toilet seat up, or I didn't know that
it's
you...
not, well, it's not.
No,
it's more because marriages end because of the expectation. So, for example, if we were in a culture, right, where every single person had the exact same expectation for what a marriage looks like, right? Then you wouldn't have that problem, even though people have never lived together. Because, for example, it's like, all right, someone comes in, you wouldn't have, here's an example. So, someone comes back, a man comes back home and he's like, hang on a second, my wife's still out. My wife's gone, she's out in a nightclub. What's going on? Because that happens today. In 2026, that happens. Come home, hey, my wife's gone out with her girlfriends. She wants to go on holiday with her girlfriends. Like, what? What's that all about? Yeah, that wouldn't have happened 50 to 100 years ago, because that wasn't the standard expectation for what people entered. A wife wouldn't even think about leaving her husband to go on holiday for a week with her friends. That would have been crazy, and her family would have been like, what are you even talking about? Why do you think that that's acceptable? Whereas in 2026, that might be some girl's mentality. that they think that they can, even though they're married and all that kind of stuff, they think they can just leave the household for extended periods of time and not have to answer to their man, right? So the man, therefore, you need to know what it is like to live with that woman. You need to know how, you almost need to have a trial run, like Amazon Prime, you get that 7-day free trial, yeah, before you actually commit. Yeah, you can always go and cancel your subscription and not pay anything, yeah? But you have that 7-day free trial and you have access to all of the films, all of the TV shows, to make sure that you actually know that you want it before you commit money to it. And people forget, yeah, especially in 2026, yeah, marriage, that's a legal contract, yeah? You do not sign any legal documents. I don't care about the love part. People talk about love, yeah. People who have been divorced, they will tell you what marriage really is, yeah? Marriage is a legal contract, all right, between you and the other person, and the government gain jurisdiction over your relationship. Yeah, why would you enter into that situation without having tested the waters? How do you even know you like this person? She might be cool from a distance, but you need to live with them. This is what she's like in the morning. She's always in the mood. Trust me, shit like that will put you off.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying that's what it leads to. That's why it leads to, like, certain divorces in couples, because it's almost like, well, if I knew this before, then I wouldn't have put myself in that situation or rushed into, marriage. Whereas, on the other hand, why I feel like no, maybe you might be like, well, no. The reason why I feel like no is because, like, obviously some tradition, but also some men might become very comfortable in the situation, because it's almost like, okay, well, we're living together, so what? Like, why do we need to get married? Like, we are, like, acting in a sense of, like, okay, this is what married couples do. They move into a house, they live together, they blah, blah, blah.
No, but that's why there's a trial period, right? So, like, with that Amazon Prime analogy, they don't give you free trial and say, it's up to you when you choose to pay for it. No, it's like you get it for a certain period of time, and then after that you pay for it.
But then a lot of people will be like, but how would I know someone in 7 days? Like, they could be putting up an act in 7 days.
7 days is for the TV show, but I'm saying maybe in real life, maybe that period's a year. Oof. And then after a year, then you'll get to know. Very few people can act for a year.
But a year living together and basically acting like a married couple, and then wouldn't you, like, as a woman, I would feel like you've wasted my time if after that year you don't feel like you want to marry me.
But that's the case with it. It's not so much wasting time. It's called making a proper decision.
So what's going to happen is that many people out here are going to be doing up a year trial period.
Yeah. Isn't that what any relationship is anyway? And then just moving
on to the next. Well, I know, but
technically you could say every relationship you waste the time. And at the end of it, I guess you get to know, think about it like this. At the end of it, if he does decide that you don't qualify, I'm not marrying you, right? Then after that, he gets to think of he gets to say, okay, well, then you'll start to, maybe it was because I acted like this, that's why he doesn't want to marry me. Or maybe it's because I acted like that.
I think a year is a stretch, though. I think a year is a stretch. Like, a couple of months.
Well, think about it.
You should know in a couple of months that the person you're living with is actually, like, okay, you should know their ins and outs. Because imagine, like, you're thinking of it in this way, you're together Monday, 7 days a week, right? So
but people are engaged for about a year, typically. At least a year.
Yeah, but they're not
you have to book
living
things
together, some of them.
All right, but maybe they should be. And then they'll see that their divorce rate isn't as low. Because think about it, there's loads, people don't talk about this as well, yeah, but there's loads of people who will decide within 2, 3, 6 months, whatever the case is, that they want to get married, right? But then, let's say they decide to get married in June of 2026, right? Then, they still have, the wedding's not going to be until June of 2027, a year later.
Yeah.
And you do not have to go through with anything. You can pull out of that engagement at any point, even the day before the wedding. Be an unpopular decision. People will have made arrangements to get to the wedding, all that kind of stuff. But until that document is signed, you don't have to do anything as a man. Yeah, you are not obligated to sign. But the second you sign that document, that's when it all changes. So you still, in theory, have all of that engagement to decide, do I really want this? And I actually think, to an extent, the engagement is an important period of time, because that's the first like big, charade or plan or whatever. That's the first thing you guys kind of plan together, right? Mm-hmm. And seeing how the stress of wedding plans, seeing how's that significant other acting during the stress of these wedding plans. Is she moving like this? Is she moving like that? Or this is causing arguments, it's causing conflict here, well, I'm not actually sure I want to be with this person, because if this is just our wedding, then what's it going to be when it comes to much bigger things? Because I know girls don't like this, but a wedding is just a party, bro. It's just a party. It's not actually that important. What actually is important is the marriage, the hopefully 40 to 50 years after, although in reality probably the 5 years after, before you guys divorce. But I'm just saying, statistically that is true. Mm-hmm. Statistically that is true. But it's not the wedding that's actually important. It's the marriage after. And you need to know that it's that marriage part that you guys are actually compatible living together. Why you think? Because you guys like going to the same films and like eating in the same restaurants and going on the same holidays, that means you guys are going to actually live together. Plus, go on.
No, go on. What's your take?
No, I was going to say plus as well. Yeah, people forget how much attraction actually sustains a relationship. People forget that. Yeah, and only seeing someone 2-3 times a week when they've made sure that they've made sure they've sprayed perfume, when they're wearing makeup, when the guy's got a trim, when he's in his best clothes. Yeah, people forget how much that can sustain a relationship versus when you are seeing somebody who, they haven't showered yet in the morning. They haven't had a trim in a while. They haven't, lined up their hair. They've got just their worst kind of clothes on. When you see someone in that condition, every single day, hey, that will test whether you guys are actually compatible or not, because then you're like, it's not quite, it's not quite the fancy packaging it was in. This is the real them.
It's like seeing them at their worst stage, even though it's not like it's normal, like waking up in the morning and like, you're just up in the morning, but
morning breath's a thing,
No, but then some people just like, oh, well, some people in the process of waking up in the morning before my partner wakes up, brushing my teeth before he wakes up, so that when he wakes up, my breath smells nice and stuff like that. And
hey, some women do that.
But that's what I'm saying. That's a lot.
No, I've heard a lot of like Middle Eastern cultures. I heard there was this one Middle Eastern who said that her mum would always, like, if she knew her husband was like, so in other words, her dad. If her mum knew her dad was close by and was about to come home, she would always put a bit of lipstick on, or she would always fix herself up to make sure that when he comes back, she's looking presentable. She wouldn't just be in a dressing gown and hairnet and slacks around her husband. No. Even if she's not going out, no, she wakes up before her husband, showers, makes sure she's taken care of, does her hair, does her makeup, makes sure her nails are so that her husband never ever sees her. And that there's a reason why people do this. It's because you don't want. Trust me, it's not good for your relationship if people think you look bad all the time. It starts to impact. Because, look, I know they say don't judge a book by its cover, but everybody does it. We all judge books by its cover. If you don't believe in that, cool. Next time you go to a job interview, why don't you show up in clothes that haven't been washed and don't fit you properly, right? And then let me know if you get that job or not, right? We all understand that's how the world works. Because the brain is optimized for efficiency. We have to make quick second judgments, right? So if I'm seeing you all the time and you're not looking presentable, eventually it's just going to reflect, and you see it in how people speak to each other.
And is that for both genders, or do you? Okay, well then.
Well, think about it at the same time as well. As a guy, you don't know what I'm doing in my free time, but I present to you on a date, or maybe we spend one night or maybe even 2 nights consecutively together, or whatever the case is, yeah? And you're just seeing the best of myself and all that, right? But you don't know that the other times I was just there playing FIFA, or I was just there, not really doing anything, waking up late, on my days off, or, eating. Maybe I make a point of, I make sure I eat nicely here, but you don't see you know, hey, that takeaway, I just dropped the chip on the floor. Yeah, I'm picking that up and I'm eating that still. Yeah, you don't see all of that kind of stuff that makes you look a little bit. Yeah, exactly. But you don't see all that stuff that makes me look like a little bit unclean in that way. Yeah, or you don't see that. Hey, yeah, I just went into the bathroom and just lined up my hair. But guess what? No one's come in my house for another couple of days, so yeah, I didn't really clean up the sink. There's just hair left in the sink, or I just left the bathroom like that. Yeah, there's hair. You ain't seen all that stuff. That stuff eventually adds up and it irritates people. And trust me, people think these are small things, but these will all start. These little things, piece by piece, will start to break your relationship potentially. So you need to know, like I said, I'm not even saying it has to be a year, but 6 months to a year, whatever. You need to have a period of time, whatever that is for you, of living with that person, so that you know, okay, this is what it's like. So at least if I do get married, there's no horrible shocks. Like, I can't believe the state that she just left the kitchen in. She just like plates here, everything. Like, do you get what I'm saying? You need to know what that's going to be like.
That's true. But then the reason why I say no is because obviously it's just the fact that people just start to become comfortable, and it's almost like that marriage aspect sort of sometimes fades away, and it starts creeping up and adding more years and years and years and years and years to a point of it's now not a thing anymore. Well, and it's like obviously to me it sometimes feels like obviously a woman is not going to propose to a man. That's
Why not?
That's a man's...
It's 2026.
Listen,
why not?
That's a man's role, okay?
But
that's
alright, quick one. I know it's not the topic, but why shouldn't a woman propose? Because think about it. Let's be honest. Typically, let's keep it real, people. Women want to get married more than men. There's very little that a man actually gets from being married in 2026. Like, alright, think about it like this. Alright, let me ask you then, because I'm gonna ask you this question in 2 stages, right? What does a man get from being married versus not married in 2026?
Okay, what they get a woman that ideally the woman that they see is the one to become a wife. They saw the reason why they made that person their wife is because they saw different things in them, abilities. For example, this woman, I know she will be able to, I can trust her, like, with the kids or taking care of the home or certain things, like, okay, but like, right?
All right, but
you gain a partner that you can trust.
But the point I'm almost making is, all right, let's say someone gets married on June the 2nd, yeah?
Okay.
On June the 1st, why is their relationship now different versus June the 2nd now they're married? So let's say, because they can do all that, by the way, in 2026, you can live with someone, you can have a couple, you can have kids, you can go on holiday together, you can do anything that a married couple does, pretty much, without the contract, the piece of paper contract that says you are now, quote unquote, married, okay? So, let's say you get married on June the 2nd. What was different when you guys woke up together on June the 1st? Versus when you're now waking up together, having signed the paper contract on June the 3rd. What's actually different?
This is the thing, because now...
What are you now going to do? Or what can you now do that you couldn't do?
Nothing. That's the thing. Nothing.
So therefore, that's my second question. So my follow-up question then, so what does a man benefit from getting married in 2026?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's become a norm. It hasn't become a like, oh my God, like marriage is now like kind of, ooh, it's like the meaning of it has almost died down because like we said, a lot of people that are not married are now living together. Like, it's not a thing where you need to be married now. Like, a marriage is just like, if you want to, then you can get married. But you don't have to get married because you can still live together. That's why when you, like, get a house or something together, don't you realise that they don't just say, if you're married, like, oh, you live with a partner or someone that's a partner now. It's a norm now. Like, you don't need to be married to be living with each other or to be acting like a married couple, because marriage now is just if you want to do it now. It's not as important anymore as it was back in the days, how it is now.
So therefore, that follows, because you're almost making my point for me. So if a man can pretty much live the life exactly how he wants to live it without being married, surely he would be a fool to not at least live with her and practice marriage or test it out, trial run, before actually making that. On average, apparently weddings are on average costing £30,000. This is just a statistic that I've seen. Apparently on average weddings are costing 30k, right? So before saving, all right, let's say even say you pay half of that, 15k, before putting that much money towards it, yeah, before signing a contract, you know, allowing the government to get involved in your relationship should you choose to separate, yeah? Why surely a man would be a fool to not at least test the waters before he makes that type of commitment.
Yeah, and I don't think it should just be a man. Like, a woman as well should feel like if she wants to, you know, test or whatever, then yeah. But that's why I said, like...
Sort of, but a woman gains more from being married.
Yeah, I know.
Because even if not... Nah, women do gain way more because, let's be honest, especially even if you're talking about in terms of perception, it's a big thing. Yeah, like being a wife versus just being a, you know, baby mum, if you like, it's a big thing. Look at socials, look at all the kind of thing, right? There's a massive status thing associated with a woman being able to show, look at my finger, I'm a wife, I'm married, I'm not just a baby mum, all that kind of stuff. Versus a man who's being a husband, yeah, versus a baby dad. I know people try and take the piss, but being a baby dad is not that deep. It's really not. In fact, like, if I'll be real, some may even argue that being a baby dad is better than being a husband. You don't have to deal with in-laws. You don't have to you just literally just deal with your kid. You don't have to you're not obligated to her family at all. You're just dealing with her and your child. So you actually have less obligation. Being a baby, so being a husband versus just being a quote unquote baby dad, if you like, there's nowhere near the same stigma attached to being a baby dad versus being a baby mum. So the woman is gaining a lot. So therefore, like with anything, you know, if you're trying to sell a product, you might want to sometimes give out some free samples of the product. You might want to, or at least at a reduced cost, give out some of the product so that people know what they're getting before they actually buy it. Like, think of when you go buy perfume. You don't just buy perfume without smelling it. They always let you test it. They let you spray some on your wrist or wherever it is. You should always spray it on your wrist, by the way, never on them little things because it sprays different. But you should test some on your wrist before you buy it. That's why I say. But then it's on the woman as the seller of the product. I know that sounds bad, but you know, let's keep it real. Like, every relationship to an extent is transactional. Every single thing is transactional, right? No one's with somebody who they're not at least benefiting from as well. So let's be mature about it. Every relationship is transactional. So the woman has to be disciplined and strict, and it's on her to make sure that it doesn't fall into that place of being comfortable 5 years, 10 years before you get married. That's on you. If you've let the man get on, because a man will just let it run. And why shouldn't he? Unless you're, like, with all due respect, most men who are clued up know that marriage has nothing really to offer them today. In terms of, like, do you get what I'm saying? What I've just outlined. So the only real reason he's going to do it is if he feels you deserve it.
Yeah.
But if you're also not making it a requirement, why is he going to do it? Because there's no reason for him to do it.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
It's just like, it's the modern days now. Like, it's just not as important as how it was back in the day. And even when you look at these marriages as well, like, it's all lavish and so big, and like, you know, people got married in their house. Like, the ceremony was like in their house. Now it's like you need to hire a hall, you need to do all of this. Like, everything is now lavish, and it's like the aspects of the meaning of marriage is kind of died down, and it's all for show now. But
yeah, comparing, everyone wants to one up the next person.
Yeah,
like, my wedding was this, like this, and my wedding was like that. Look at how much money we spent and all that kind of. You know, there's wedding loans. People are in debt. You know, they're in debt for their wedding, and some people are still. It's like that. You know, Think Like a Man. And Kevin Hart's character was separated from his wife, but even though he was separated, he was still paying back his loan. Imagine that. That's an L. Imagine that. You're actually now divorced, but you're still paying back the loan. That's crazy. Yes. That makes no sense. 100%. You even if you want to do it like this, you can even do it, live with them for a period of time and then move back out and say, right, you've had your sample, now you have to just...
Now you have to decide, like,
You can even do that. So that it's like, right, I'm moving back. But you have to be able to follow through. So the woman needs to follow through with it. So if you are going to live with him for a period of time then. And then once you see he's getting comfortable, then move out. Okay. See how he responds.
So, okay, let me ask you this question then. So now if they live in together, like for that trial period that you said, should the woman act like his wife and should the husband act like a husband when they're living in that period? Or are they just, supposed to be like just boyfriend, girlfriend? Like, how should they act when they're doing that trial period? Acting, because obviously this whole living together is to see how they will... be able to manage each other when they are married, after their marriage. So in that trial period, how do you expect the woman to act? Like a wife?
That's a complicated question. I'll answer it like this. If you want that man to be completely sure in his decision, then portray your best possible self in that sense. So make yourself look like as much of a wife as possible. Because if you come back and everything's always taken care of, the house is always clean, food is always ready, all this kind of... I'm assuming that it's a traditional type of arrangement, that there's gender, the stereotypical gender roles are in application, let's say, because maybe it's not, and I'll explain that one after. But if you want to portray that this is how you want to make the man as likely to marry you as possible, when you then give him that final ultimatum, if you like, then throughout that period of time, you've got to show him that, hey, this is a good deal. This is good. That, I can't let this girl go anywhere. She's doing this, and this, right? Versus if you say, well, I'm not a wife yet, so no, I'm not going to do that. You can do all this yourself, and you're almost making it seem like you're roommates. Then you're not going to make being married to him being married to you from his perspective is not going to seem as beneficial. If he comes back, basically all you're doing is someone to split the bills with them.
Yeah.
So let's take an example where it's less traditional then. I would say if you don't want to be a traditional wife, then don't show him a traditional wife. Because then, so basically what I'd say is, this is how I'll answer that. Live exactly how you plan to live as a married woman. So if you plan to be a married woman, but it's a kind of equal marriage where you guys split chores, you split bills and everything, you still pursue your career, he pursues his career, you both share duties with the kids and around the house and all that kind of stuff, then live like that during the trial period, because that's what you're offering him. If you're saying you're going to be a more traditional wife, then live like a more traditional wife during that trial period, because that's what you're going to be offering him. But don't switch up. That's the important thing. Don't try and portray, because that really pisses people off as well on both sides. Don't try and portray that, I'm traditional like this, and then suddenly you get married and you stop doing that. Don't do that, because that's just going to cause major conflict. Your relationship won't last. And don't, from the man's perspective as well, don't say, I'm cool being the breadwinner, or I'm cool doing all of this kind of stuff, paying all the bills. And then you get married and say, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not doing this. Or even if you're a man, don't be saying, I'm cool with you pursuing your career. I'm cool with you with splitting all the bills and all that kind of, and then marrying and saying, you're my wife now. You should do this.
Yeah.
Don't switch up.
So
that's the thing.
Be truthful.
Yeah, be truthful to how you're going to live. Because that's the thing. People are, it's weird. Maybe this is another topic for another day, but people are so scared to be alone in today's era. I don't know why, and that's why people act.
From next relationship to next.
But that's why people act. Like me, I could be single, no disrespect. I could be single for years because I'm very calm on my own. So until I meet somebody who I can be exactly who I want to be with, and I can live life exactly how I want to live my life, until I meet somebody who is cool with that, I will just stay single. Because I can be alone, it's not a problem. Whereas so many people, I think that's why so many people act. It's because they're scared to be alone, so they pretend to be someone they're not. Because they're worried if they were their true self, that person wouldn't want to be with them.
Yeah.
So that's the main thing. Stop being scared
wouldn't want to be with them, or would not be with them because they've expressed that already.
How do you mean?
Like, the only reason why they're acting is because they fully know that that person wouldn't like the person that they're hiding.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why it's almost like they know that.
Yeah, well, all right, like, let's say, for example, let's say I'm a guy that's like, look, let's say I'm a really traditional, I'm a traditional African man in that sense.
Yeah.
I don't even go into the kitchen. I don't forget about cooking. I don't even set foot into the kitchen. Yeah, like my granddads, I don't think I ever saw either of them in the kitchen ever, even in there, right? So if I'm that, but I'm so scared to be alone because I don't think any girl's gonna like me like that. I don't think a girl's gonna want to be with me. So because you know, if I show that, she's gonna think, he's really backward, he's really this. So I'm gonna pretend to be really modern, get married, and then I'm gonna say, right, I expect you to do this, this, and this. Well, that's silly. If you're that guy, be that guy. If you're him, be him. Move how you're going to move in the marriage. Move how you're gonna move. Move how you want to move. So if you're that guy, you're that man who's not gonna set foot into the kitchen, show her that early. Don't try and mislead her.
I agree.
But yeah, definitely, I think there's a period of time where you guys have to, live together to
Test
see
the waters, especially in this time. Like, I generally,
and that's the key point.
Yeah, this time and this generation, I feel like you should, because you then get to know the other person better. But I do say, like, I think a year for me is a stretch. A year is a stretch for me.
Fair enough.
I feel like it should be less than a year, because I feel like you will know from, like, yes and no. Like, it's like listening to music. That first beat, or when people always say, give me 2 seconds, if I'm actually gonna enjoy that movie. It only takes me 2 seconds to see if I'm actually gonna enjoy that movie or that series. So I feel like it shouldn't take a year for someone to know if that person's actually the person they want to be with.
No, but that's what I'm saying. So I'm always saying, within a few months you might know. But then you should move together, and then you can even live together through your engagement period. Your engagement can be like you can almost use that as your trial run. Yeah. Exactly. So you already kind of know you want to marry. Now you're at the final test of, right, let's test this out. Do you get what I'm saying? But that point you made about in this era, well, that's the only reason you have to. Because there's so many different ways of doing marriage today. You don't know what you're getting into by marrying someone. I could be marrying a woman and she wants to be a complete housewife, doesn't want to work, wants me to pay all the bills and all that. Which, by the way, I'm not even saying all men want that today, because some men want a woman that's going to contribute and all that kind of stuff, right? So I could be marrying a woman who wants to be a complete housewife, not have to work, all that. Or I could be marrying a woman who doesn't even want to have kids. I could be marrying a woman who doesn't want to have children and wants to just pursue her career completely and just get married for the sake of getting married. So, and there's loads of different models in between as well. So with so many different things, I have to work out, okay, well, which version of marriage am I getting here? So you have to test that out. Otherwise, whereas 100 years ago, there was one model of marriage. Man goes to work, woman stays at home. So it was much, much easier. You didn't need to live together, because you knew that when you were going to get married, that, well, she's going to stay at home. That's what it was going to be. Exactly.
Yeah, it was going to be you staying at home, you cooking, you looking after the family. And, you know, but it's such a hard, like, conversation, because now I almost feel like back home, is that still the case? Like,
how do you mean back? What?
Like, back in Africa, like, you know how, because that's where if we're talking about tradition.
I think in, like, rural areas, like villages, it still is. But I think in, like, city areas, it's more westernized. So, like, in the major African, like, like Lagos or places like that. In the I don't even know many of the other ones. But in the major cities, which are have a lot of Western influence. And tourists, stuff like that. I think those ones have adopted more of the Western traits, because that's where you see a lot of, like, so there are a lot of, like, even African female artists and stuff like that. They're not going to marry and be traditional, like, housewives or whatever. Right?
That's why they got their maids.
Whereas the in the rural areas, more remote places where, culture and custom is still very prevalent, those places it probably is still a bit more kind of gender roles, like stereotypical or traditional gender roles probably still apply there more. So in those aspects, they still don't really need to live together.
Yeah.
And that's where as well, people don't even really need to. But that's in those times. People didn't even know each other sometimes before they got married. They were just told you get married there.
Yeah.
Because
arranged
everyone knew what
marriage.
the job was.
Still happens still today, anyways.
But that's how people do it. They'd show you, and the woman get to choose. She get to choose. Okay, not him. But the woman, she'd just be presented with different guys.
Selections.
And that's it. She'd choose him. But as soon as she chose a guy, she knew what she was doing.
Getting herself into,
exactly. That's why they were prepared as being young. Whereas like some girls today, you might be marrying a woman whose parents have raised her to be this type of wife.
Yeah.
She's been cooking since the age of 8 or whatever the case is. And then you've got other women who've never boiled an egg.
Oh my God.
So I'm just saying, what kind of wife are you getting? You get some men. What kind of husband are you getting? You get some men who think that, oh, no, just stay at home. I'll worry about money. Don't even ask me what I do kind of work. Don't worry about where the money comes from. Just worry that it's there. All right. And then you get other men who want to ask you for money.
Them ones.
I'm just saying, like, there's different models of it. So you don't even know what you're going to get. But definitely, you got to have a period of time when you live together. Yeah,
I do agree. I feel like I agree that, you should live with them for a small period of time just to get a taste of what it would be like after marriage. But
one thing I will say is don't do anything permanent in that period of time though.
Yeah.
So like if you're gonna be like, don't be, say you're a woman and you're a doctor or a lawyer or whatever, but when you do eventually settle down, your plan is to be a more traditional wife, then that's one of those grey areas where you're still gonna have to kind of pursue your career for the time of that trial period. Don't quit your job in that time.
Yeah.
Just to show that this is what I'm going to be like as a wife. Because then if you then do break up, well then you're going to have to go back to your career for the period of time, right? So if you are a working woman and you're pursuing your career, but your plan is to stop when you get married, then that's what I'd say. Don't do that until you actually do get married.
Yeah.
But then you have to make that clear that that's my plan to do that once we do get married. So that at least he then knows that. It's about,
It's all about communicating, right?
Yeah, but then sticking to what you're saying as well.
Yeah, communicating and also sticking with, your words and what you say to that person. So any last take before we any last points or
not really. I actually do believe, by the way, that women should actually contribute to the relationship as well, in terms of it should work as well. I don't really believe that a woman should ever be completely incapable of making money. A man should be...
You always need a sort of safety net, in my opinion.
A man should be maybe the primary breadwinner. That if that's what you want to do, that's fine. Yeah. But the woman should never be completely incapable, because let's say something happens. I'm not going to put bad energy out there, but let's say anything of any sort happens, right? Then what are you going to do?
Exactly.
Right? Like, and you don't want to have to rely on a stepdad and all that kind of stuff. That's all long. Maybe you do want to go there eventually, but you don't want to need.
You need like someone to be able to like, You
want to be somewhat self-reliant. That's my view on it. So.
Well, that's us today. Let us know what you think. If you agree with what we've said, or if you disagree, you can always add your comments in the comment section. And we'll hope to see you guys soon in the next episode. Bye.